And so even though he found enormous success through All in the Family and the Jeffersons and Sanford and Sons and Maude and Princess Bride and on and on and on and on, Stand By Me, another great movie, he decided in 1980, Ronald Reagan was rising, Margaret Thatcher in the UK, and this Christian right-wing nationalism was beginning to dominate our politics. He decided to retire from his enormously successful entertainment career and found our organization, People for the American Way.
Hey, TheGrio fam, it's Gerren Keith, Gaynor, White House correspondent and managing editor of politics at TheGrio, and I'm here with Svante Myrick, who is the president of People for the American Way. Svante, always a pleasure to have you at TheGrio. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me back. It's very good to see you.
Absolutely. So I know that you and your organization, People for the American Way, are grieving the loss of your founder, Norman Lear, most known for his amazing TV Hollywood career, but he also had a huge role in political activism, founding People for the American Way. First, tell us the story of why he founded the organization and what was the political climate at that time.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I am actually representing for the organization today, and for Norman and his amazing career. If you don't know Norman, he lived to be 101 years old, and this is a small Jewish kid in Brooklyn who signed up to go and fight in World War II. He flew 52 bombing missions over the Nazis. He came back and was surprised to find, disappointed, disheartened to find that there were these conservative voices saying that Jewish people, the progressives, were not true Americans, were not patriots. He felt very much like a patriot. And so even though he found enormous success through All in the Family and the Jeffersons and Sanford and Sons and Maude and Princess Bride and on and on and on and on, Stand By Me, another great movie, he decided in 1980, Ronald Reagan was rising, Margaret Thatcher in the UK, and this Christian right-wing nationalism was beginning to dominate our politics. He decided to retire from his enormously successful entertainment career and found our organization, People for the American Way, to create a home for people really of all stripes. You could be progressive, you could be conservative, so long as you did not believe that your political beliefs defined whether or not you were a patriot, whether or not you love this country. He wanted to make a home for the freedom of speech, to protect the rights of those who are different, to protect the rights of those who are minorities. And for 43 years, that organization has done that. Starting this week, we're going to have to do it without him. But so many folks have stepped up and come to our website to join the fight and to become new members of People for the American Way.
What did it say about um, his character and passion for justice, that he had this amazing, huge career? And most celebrities, when they want to be politically involved, they just donate some money. They might send out a press release. But he founded an entire organization that, as you mentioned, still stands today. What did that say about the man that Norman Lear was?
Yeah, it's really a tremendously good point. I mean, he gave up, for folks who don't know, maybe not familiar with the business of entertainment or of television, when Norman retired, he had 6 of the top 10 shows on television. Now, most people right now have one show, period, right, on television. To have 6 shows on television is normal. Back then, of 6 of the top 10. I mean, this was like Michael Jordan retiring, right, at the height of his powers. But the reason he did it is because he felt like there was an urgent threat, but also he felt like he needed to found an organization because his theory was always that none of us do anything great alone. He's the ultimate team player. And so instead of just sending a press release, he said, what if I can just help gather like-minded people and see what we can achieve together? Right up to the last, when he asked me to lead this organization, he is 67 years older than me. And he asked a young-ish black mayor to come and lead his organization. We had very little in common except a shared belief that America should belong to all of us. and that sort of selflessness, that sort of dedication to other people, and a belief in the power of teamwork is why so many of us love Norman Lear.
Tell me more about your personal interactions with him and what will you take personally from his legacy?
Well, I've known him for a decade, but I gotta say, a lot of people don't know this. I, I'm not sure I'd even be alive if it wasn't for the work he did in the entertainment industry. Before his shows, All in the Family, before The Jeffersons, before Sanford and Sons, depictions of Black American life being beamed into tens of millions of American homes didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. And the humanizing effect of those stories did more to advance, I believe, the cause of race relations than they will ever get credit for. Just like Maud deciding to have an abortion in prime time on television, talking about it with her partner, saying the words, "This is what we're going to do." Um, all these things cause a firestorm, but he knew that our politics lives downstream of our culture. If you can change the cultural conversation, you can change the political outcomes. And so when my mother brought home a black man, a white woman brought a black man back up to a tiny upstate New York village
Mhm.
with zero black people living,
Mhm.
the very fact that there was broader familiarity, I think helped knock down all those anti-miscegenation laws that still existed when Norman was doing his work, and helped pave the way for much more love and acceptance in this world, which is great. And so I know that when I met him, by the time I met him when he was in his early 90s, a spring chicken, really, and he's still funny, man. He's funny as anything. You could never get the last word in. You can never get the last laugh. We became very good friends, so much so that at his 95th birthday, he asked me to do his introduction, big party in LA. And I closed by saying, Norman, I hope that we're going to be able to celebrate your 100th birthday together as
Mhm.
well. And he looked me up and down like this and said, "You seem like you're in fair enough shape. I'm sure you'll make it there, kid." And it
Mhm.
just that wit and that joy, I think, is what let him live such a long, long life. Laughter is a very good medicine.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing those stories. How will people for the American way keep his legacy alive? And I know you do so much work on a range of issues from voting rights in particular. What will that look like in carrying on what he wanted this organization to do?
Yes, we're actually setting up the Norman Lear Legacy Fund that folks can support to do three things. We really want to keep up the fight for freedom, for justice, and for democracy. And the fight for freedom is about freedom of expression. This was very, very big and important to Norman. To be able to say in prime time that yes, people get abortions, and yes, we should be able to talk about it, was of course something that the censors tried to stop, the entire right wing tried to shut down. He thought if we can live in a country with free expression, then we can make this nation a better place for all of us. The second thing is for justice. Norman understood the role of the judiciary in our lives, from legalizing or making illegal de facto segregation, to, of course, upholding abortion rights or then taking those rights away. So, People for the American Way is going to continue to fight for a fair judiciary and a better Supreme Court in particular. And the last thing, Aaron, as you said, is on democracy. Norman fought his entire life so that people would have the right to vote for their leaders. From the time he was 18 years old fighting the fascists in Europe to 101 years old when I was briefing him on our election victories in Virginia and Ohio just 3 weeks ago. That entire time, he wanted to make sure people had access to the right to vote. So we're going to do those things. People can support that work by going to pfaw.org and joining the Norman Lear Legacy Fund.
And when Norman Lear founded People for the American Way, it was, as you know, to counter the Christian right. And the Christian right continues to have arguably an expanded role in our politics at large, and has been behind some pretty controversial actions from abortion banning, and also even LGBTQ banning in classrooms, for example. What do you make of this moment? How do organizations like People for the American Way uh, continue to combat and win these ongoing battles?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. After decades, really of tremendous and promising progress, where we saw people elected to Congress and senators as Jewish members, Muslim members, atheist members, something that would have been unthinkable before People for the American Way was founded, when the both social and political power was assumed that you had to be a Christian nationalist. You had to not just be a Christian, which I am, by the way, but somebody who believed that the only true American is one that is a Christian, right? That dangerous idea used to dominate our politics. And after decades of progress, we're actually seeing a dangerous resurgence in this. Not only Donald Trump, who frankly I don't believe holds any personal religious views, but certainly benefits from the support of the right-wing Christian white nationalists, to the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who our reporting revealed believes himself to be the new Moses, that God told him that he is Moses brought back to earth. This is a dangerous time. And if we're not on alert, they will roll back the rights of all people for whom they disagree. They will bring us not only back to pre-1960, but back, I think, to the Middle Ages, in which landowners and the wealthy control all decisions in the country. And the rest of us are not only kept in the dark, but kept in serfdom, poverty, and women especially are kept and used as possessions and not as full humans.